Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Martin with The Contour Chemist. So I'm asked all the time for some of these tips and tricks. So we're talking advanced contouring today, specifically for the mature face. So I know sometimes people are like, how do I get rid of jowls and how do I do this and what should I avoid? Some of the things that maybe you might see on younger skin, and some of us can't do that anymore. So these are gonna be all my tips and tricks. You can use 3D foundation and step it up a notch if you've already been contouring with it. So I hope it helps if you want to check it out. Please keep watching. Be sure to like and subscribe so you see my next video. And as always, thanks for being here. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So I will preface this by saying this is a more advanced way to contour, and we're going to be focusing in on the mature face. So what I love about Maskcara Beauty's 3D foundation is that you can kind of eliminate some of the other methods that you might see out there for highlighting and contouring. Some that are cream kits, but you apply the contour and the brightener first, then you lay a foundation on, then you put a powder on, then you highlight, and it can be a lot of steps. And this kind of cuts out some of that time. Like your highlight and contour is your foundation with 3D foundation, so you don't have to kind of do that. And when it comes to powders, I could say I'm a huge convert because I used to use a powder foundation and I look back at photos and I looked 10 years older. Switching to creams, something about that glow to the skin that takes years off of age and makes your skin just look so much more youthful and glowing. I think we can all agree that we want that kind of lit from within glow to our skin. And powders are drying and dull. And even if you like a matte look, I'll kind of show you how you can kind of have that kind of matte look, but still be dewy in the places you want to be. So you still have that glow. Okay, so we're talking highlight and contour. And I will say with mature skin, it's one of my specialties is color matching mature skin. I can tell you 9 times out of 10, if you have more mature skin, you probably will need a color corrector with this makeup. And the reason why is because as we age, we get excess pigment. So you get dark spots, age spots, hyperpigmentation, sometimes redness, and it is very rare that more mature skin doesn't have any kind of darkness in their skin at all, unless you were amazing wearing your sunscreen and your hats your entire life, which I can honestly say, I wish I had. I wish I would have known. But now I've got things to color correct. So if I color match you to a color corrector, that is why. I'm gonna show you start to finish how I recommend contouring if you have mature skin. And we're gonna start with the color corrector. Okay, so the thing about if you've seen how people highlight and contour under their foundation using cream products, these creams are extremely different than anything else on the market. So those products are designed to go directly to your skin, and you can actually brighten and use your very lightest shade on your skin first, then you can contour, then you put your foundation over it for coverage. Well, our highlights and contours actually both give coverage to the skin. You don't need an additional foundation. They are your foundation. But the tricky thing to know and what makes this makeup so different is that I wish I could explain why, but it's just the nature of these creams. So don't ask. I still can't figure it out. They all have the same formulation, but for some reason, if you get the wrong color with this makeup, it won't last on the skin. So 9 times out of 10, if somebody's having issues with this makeup, it's because they're wearing a shade that's all wrong for them. And 9 times out of 10, it's because it's too light. So with this makeup, you have to match the darkest tones on your face first, okay? You're not gonna get good coverage or longevity if you don't. So you can't contour and highlight like you do with other cream products. You have to first color correct, okay? Even out the skin tone. Then I'm gonna show you how we highlight and contour on top of our foundation, which technically it's all foundation, but I find I get the best results this way. And so this is how I like to share it. Okay, first things first. I don't recommend this method or this makeup without the perfector sponge, okay? I went ahead and got this baby wet, wring it out into the sink as much as I could, put it in an absorbent towel, squeezed it out again, and now it's gonna sit here and it's going to kind of dry while I start my makeup. So that way when I'm ready for the important blending step, it will be ready. It will take off excess, but it will not remove my makeup, and it will keep my makeup looking like skin, which is one of the amazing things about this cream foundation. So different than others, okay? So first of all, I'm going to start with the B squared brush. This is my ride or die for mature skin. Something about this magical end is amazing at giving kind of that flawless look to the skin without tugging at any kind of fine lines or anything like that. All right, so I'm gonna start and I'm gonna go ahead and just do my foundation like I normally would, and then we will break it down with highlighting, contouring specifically for a more mature face. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna use my color corrector. Okay, this for me is going to match my darkest tones. So if you look at my face, you can see I've got redness through here. I have hyperpigmentation, especially on this side. I've got purple, dark circles, my chin's a little red, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and buff on the smallest amount of this product I can, okay? And that is key with this makeup. It is so much more pigmented than any makeup on the market that a lot of times people will start using it and they just put on way too much and then they don't like it. But if you just barely, I just tapped in once, tapped in, I didn't swipe, and I have that much cream on my brush, and I'm just going to gently buff that on, just this redness right here in this area. And that's it, okay? Just enough to match the darkest tones of my face so that I have color corrected and I'm gonna have great longevity, because this makeup will last 12 to 14 hours plus if you have the right shades. Okay, so got a little bit through there, okay? And another thing is that I don't wanna highlight first, because anywhere you put a lighter color with this makeup, if your skin directly under it is darker, it actually will go on this skin quite textural. It will show every little pore. It'll make your fine lines look worse. It will emphasize texture that you might have not even known was there. And that is a key for making sure you kind of layer this makeup and you put darkest tones down first, and then you can brighten as you go, okay? So I'll show you how we do that. Okay, my nose is the darkest part of my face, so that one I really am gonna buff on more to make sure I have good coverage there. And then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna press on more anywhere I need it. So I'm gonna use my finger. I'm just gonna tap in. I'm gonna tap onto that hyperpigmentation right there. And then I'm gonna tap in again, and I'm gonna get in close under my eyes and get rid of my dark circles, kind of clean up my eyeshadow. Okay, so once I'm happy with my coverage, I'm good, okay? I'm gonna go into my main shade. Now, with this makeup, technically it's designed so you don't have to layer it, but I find I get better coverage and a better blend with my contour and my brightener when I go ahead and I layer it on those areas I'm gonna contour later. You don't have to. You can just apply your main shade anywhere you are not going to contour. But for simplicity's sake, I'm just gonna show you, and I'm gonna press it on all over. I'm gonna press it so that I'm not moving any of that color corrector I just placed because I don't want to move that darker shade and mix it on the skin. I simply want to do thin layers to build up coverage and kind of tone down that warmth. If I was to use that color all over, I'd be pulled slightly darker and warmer than my neck. So this shade, I'm just going to dab in once and press it on all over. Okay, so if you noticed, I didn't really apply any of that highlight shade anywhere along my hairline, and it's because I really don't need a whole lot of extra coverage there. I can just use my contour and get plenty of coverage. It's mainly here that I layer because that's where I have redness. And if I don't layer when I put my contour down, it pulls too warm because that redness is shining through. So I am completely evened out. If you have a heavy hand or you feel tacky, anything like that, you can go ahead and perfect it this step. I'm going to wait until the end so I can show you guys all together. And so now for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna go into highlight. Okay, so either way, you can highlight or you can contour first. Doesn't matter. If you've seen my videos before, you know I usually contour, I blend as I go, then I highlight. But for today, I really want you to be able to see my face. And I really want you to kind of be able to look at your own face and be like, okay, I'm all flat now. I'm all one color, but where do I have a natural shadow on my face? Because with mature skin, you know what? Everyone ages differently. Everyone has different concerns, and your face might look completely different than mine. But if you pay attention to your own face, you'll be able to determine where you can brighten, okay? And so with highlight and contour, it's all it is we're playing with light and dark, okay? So remember, dark, wherever you add dark, it's gonna make it recede. It's gonna go backwards. And anywhere you add light, highlight, it's going to push it forward. So when we add this highlight, all it is going to push forward anywhere you see shadows on your face, okay? Anywhere your face naturally casts a shadow, you can brighten. Now again, this is completely optional to go this in depth, but I wanna show you guys because I get questions all the time about, oh, how do I minimize jowls and, tear trough, lines and different things like this and like that. So this will kind of hit it all and show a more advanced so that you can tailor your highlight and contour routine specifically for what you need it to, okay? So I probably personally wouldn't do the whole shebang every day, but for photos or a special occasion, most certainly, okay? So you guys will be able to see. With highlight, my biggest thing is anywhere your face naturally has a shadow. We're gonna go ahead and start with under the eye because that's the most common that people like to highlight, right? So I'm gonna go down a few shades, okay? This isn't drastic, okay? So this is another option this is my color corrector, this is my main shade. This would be a drastic brightener, and this is my normal everyday brightener. I don't recommend for mature skin going super light. And the reason with this, why, is because with this makeup, the lighter you go, the more it will emphasize any kind of texture on your face, that being fine lines or wrinkles or anything else that you need good coverage on. So I always recommend kind of just going 2 to 3 shades lighter, and you can always layer a touch of that brighter shade over that to get it to sit smoother, and so it's not gonna emphasize as much. So I'll show you that as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the detail hack. That's just because I wanna be able to control and use this small end just where I need it, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and tap in, again, not swipe, not get too much. And let's go with this side so you guys can really see, okay? Inner corner, I can agree, everyone is gonna want to, and I'm gonna try actually to apply this a little bit thicker so that you guys can see the highlight. Do not apply it this thick on yourself. You want to kind of just feather it on like lightly and blend as you go. If you put it on this thick, you're gonna have trouble blending it out later. But for demonstration, I'm gonna show you guys all of it and then I will blend it out, okay? So right there at that tear trough, I'm just gonna go right down that line and I'm gonna stop right there, okay? Now I'm gonna contour my nose, so I'm going all the way up to where I will contour, all the way up the side of my nose and onto my nostril right there, because that gets super dark, right? Okay, and then I'm gonna go down. So can you see on this side how much shadow I have on that side of my face? And smile lines those nasal labial folds are an issue for me. So I'm gonna go and just go right down that to brighten. Okay, already this side of my face is so much more bright, okay? So I'm just gonna concentrate that right here, and I'm not gonna go all the way under my eye because we're not gonna do that full triangle. With mature skin, a lot of times that is where our problem area is. That's where mine is. I probably went a touch too far. Just kind of go alongside, if you have an eye bag, right in that tear trough area where we have the darkest part of that shadow. So right, you can see it there. I know there's a way I can turn my face. So right there, and then we're just gonna stop, okay? We're just gonna brighten that area right there. Okay, so following this down, sometimes as we age, our mouth goes a little downturned with gravity, right? And so you might have darkness right along the side of your chin. So you can brighten that. Always center of the chin, I always do. Now my chin just naturally kind of goes in right there. So I'm gonna concentrate my brightener right there in the middle. Okay, so now we're gonna go to this side. When it comes to this side of the eye, it can be a little tricky. So look at your own eyes. That is a problem area for me, but if you can notice, I go inward right here. Okay, so I'm gonna follow my shadow and I'm gonna just brighten right where I need to, okay? I usually kind of recommend staying out of this smile line area and just brightening the temple, okay? And the reason for that is because as we age, we can get really hollow in our temple. So whereas younger people might be able to contour all the way down here, we don't want this sunken in look. We wanna actually pull that out. So we're gonna highlight right there, and we can even take that all the way down here, right underneath where those smile lines normally are. Okay, and that will kind of brighten, and remember, we wanna lift the face. So the contour will really help lift as well, but that highlight, if you can tell, will really lift that cheekbone. Okay, if we keep the upper part of the cheekbone light and bright, and this area light, it's going to lift the face. Okay, so another great place to lift is the brow. So I always recommend bright, like illuminating under the brow, but you can also highlight above the brow. Or if you don't like shimmer under the brow, you can add your highlight, your actual brightener shade underneath the brow right here as well. I think I've already added some shimmer, but right there, and that will lift the brow, right? Okay, center of the forehead. So I always recommend going right to the center of the forehead to add that light. So pay attention to your forehead. Sometimes we might have like shadows in our face or different kinds of bumps and stuff. I kind of have a bump right there where it goes in. So I am going to brighten right along that ridge to kind of pull that out. So again, pay attention to your own face, kind of look at it under different lights. I don't know if you can see mine, but I can feel it. So we're gonna do that, and then we're always gonna go between the brows and down the center of our nose. Okay, now we haven't contoured yet, so we might have to clean this up a little, but center of the nose, point, and I like to do Cupid's bow to kind of lift that upper lip as well. All right. Are you with me? That was all highlight. So I'm not even gonna do the other side of my face. I'm gonna show you how I would contour. I'm gonna leave this without blending. I'm gonna go ahead and contour so you can kind of see it all together. And then I'm gonna blend. And then I will show you how I would apply it the other way, not so heavy, blending as I go. Hopefully that will help. Okay, so for contour, I feel like it can really vary because as we age, our face can either lose a lot of density and get thinner and you could look gaunt. And for those people, you don't necessarily have to do your cheekbones. Sometimes if you have a hollowness here, you just want to start up higher and you want to avoid anywhere that goes in too much because otherwise you're just going to emphasize that thinness of your face, right? So you just want to keep it out where it's going to lift, okay? We're all doing this for pretty much to lift and to give us that more youthful appearance. So another way is you can get a rounder face. You know, as we age, we can gain weight in our face and we can get jowls and be a bit rounder. So kind of pay attention to how you want your face shape. It can be like pretty universal is that we can get some sagging, right? So a lot of times it is along the jawline and just like everyone else, it's all optional. Your forehead, if you have a small forehead, you don't have to contour it. If you do have that hollowness here, you don't have to contour your cheekbones or your nose. It's optional, but I'm gonna show you how I would do it for myself. And let's start with the cheekbone. I feel like cheekbones are kind of the hardest for everyone. It's kind of easy. When it comes to mature skin, you contour the exact same as you would no matter your age, okay? What you're gonna do is you're gonna grab something and you're gonna roll that to feel where your underside of your cheekbone would be, okay? It's always about mid to upper part of your ear going down towards the corner of your mouth, okay? And that's the imaginary line you're going to place your contour along. Now, obviously you can kind of tweak that line going more this way. If you do have a thinner face, it's gonna kind of widen your face. Or if your face has gotten much rounder, you can go at a steeper angle to give the appearance of a thinner face. But for simplicity's sake, most people can go along that imaginary line and lift their cheekbones as much as they can. Okay, I'm gonna go in with the detail hack again, this time with the big end. Our contours they do give coverage, but they are very dry in comparison to our highlights. So what I do is I go in with an angle and I pounce quite a bit. Okay, so I can get that on half my brush because I don't want too wide of a stripe here. If I get too wide, then it's going to drag our cheekbones down. And our whole purpose is that we want to lift our face. So I'm gonna kind of start up at the top of my ear because that's where it's gonna add the most amount of product first, okay? And I'm just gonna kind of hug that cheekbone and I'm gonna go towards the corner of my mouth where that imaginary line was. I'm gonna stop about the corner of my eye, okay? So I don't wanna go too far because what happens, we're gonna get right in these small lines that we just highlighted. We don't want darkness here. If you've lost a whole lot of volume in your cheeks, you can slightly curve it upward here, but you have to be very careful not to get in here. In here is where, as we age, we get a lot more problem areas, so we kind of want to avoid darkening that area. So I'm just going to press it on like so and try not to blend because I normally blend as I go. Let me lay it on a little thicker. So to the corner of the eye, not too wide, just right under that cheekbone to give that definition. Okay, can you tell a difference already? Okay, so I feel like the jawline is where I get the most questions, and I'll be honest, most of the time I just follow my natural jawline. I don't pay very much attention to it, but jawline is where we start getting sagging, and I don't know if you can tell, I start going downward right here, and obviously as I age, it's going to get worse. But I'm going to show you how you can kind of eliminate that extra I don't even know what to call that. Right there. Same thing. I'm going to use that. Now I'm going to start my contour right where I have that sagging. And maybe I should show it with a smaller brush so you can see. Okay, I'm going to start, I might need to look in the mirror for this. I'm going to start right above where I have that sagging and follow it right above it. And do you see how I created a new line, which pretty much tricks the eye to make it look like it is straight and doesn't actually bow outwards like it actually does. So you just want to do the same thing. You start right where it is, go slightly higher, and then start following it along your natural jawline. So it gives the appearance of a straight line, okay? Then you can go in with this bigger brush and you can blend down the neck so you don't have any obvious lines. Now, you do have to be careful that you don't have like so much product on your brush that you really are drawing a stripe on the side of your face, right? We don't want it to look obviously like we did that. Now I kind of blended that one as I went, unlike this one, but you guys get the hint, right? Okay, so where else can we contour? Let's go, I'm gonna grab this small brush again. We can go under the lip. So we highlighted here. We can go under the lip slightly to make it look like our lips are poutier. Now, don't get too far over since we're darker right there. I'm gonna switch back around to the big one and do my forehead. So, obviously for my forehead, I have a pretty large forehead, pretty wide forehead. So I'm going to concentrate the color right where I'm the widest to kind of minimize that. Again, I'm not gonna go too far down because we want this light and bright. Okay, right along my hairline. Just gonna do the whole thing because it's easier. And then I'm gonna go down a little bit on my forehead so that it gives the appearance of a shorter forehead. Up into the hairline to blend. Okay, nose time. So for noses, if you don't know, you pretty much want to start the contour line right as your nose is curving downward. Now, depending on your nose can really depend on how you contour your nose. Some people, like me, have bumps on our noses, or our noses aren't completely straight. Mine is not. So, kind of just like the jawline, we're gonna take the contour and we're gonna start up at the brow and we're gonna follow that imaginary line. Now here, my nose kind of curves a little bit. I have a bump there. So I'm gonna go kind of exaggerate closer to make it appear straight. If you follow your natural nose line and you have a bump, it's gonna bow out a little bit. So you kind of wanna exaggerate, go slightly higher, whichever direction, towards the center, okay? And then, if you don't know, your earlobes and your nose never stops growing. So, tip of your nose. We're gonna shorten that as well. Okay, so I am highlighted and contoured, but I haven't blended. Can you tell the difference? Okay, so to blend this out, you can do it a couple different ways. You can use your perfector. It will blend it out. It's just going to take longer, okay? I like to blend with the B squared, same brush I applied my color corrector and main shade, and I'm just gonna start pressing. I love this brush because it presses so well. I'm not gonna buff because I'll move all that color around. I'm just gonna press it. Do the highlighted areas first. Okay, now I can do my contour With the cheekbone, you always want to pull up. Again, we don't want to drag this down. Okay, another way, I feel like I've gotten all light and bright. I feel like this area needs to be lifted a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just tap in once to that brightener shade, and I'm just going to press right underneath my contour. There you go. Kind of brighten that up a little bit. Okay, so this side of my face is done. Can you tell? Now I'm gonna go ahead and apply on the other side with my fave brushes while I'm blending as I go. So you can see how fast you can actually do all of that without having to lay it on thick and then blend afterwards. Either way, I'm gonna go ahead and use the Buffy brush, which is my favorite for under my eyes. I love this brush because you can really press it on without getting too much product. It will kind of press it into your skin at the same time. Okay, so usually I will blend as I go, and then I'll go back and perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more brightener down my nose since I kind of took it off already. I'm gonna go in with my finger and just add a little bit right down the center. And then I'm gonna perfect. So this perfector is such an important step for mature skin. So with mature skin, I feel like a lot of people are scared of creams because they think the creams are going to just slide into anywhere they might have creases and kind of just collect there. And as long as you aren't over applying, which a color corrector can really help that because you won't have to apply so much of your main shade in order to get good coverage. So color corrector, using this bad boy to make sure you have pressed it into the skin and got rid of excess. So I'm gonna go over on this side because no matter what, I always run this all over my face to press it in and make it look like skin. And if this isn't perfectly damp, it's not going to do its job. Okay, so I never have to worry about creasing because I've used this. I get off all the excess. I make sure I don't have any kind of creases under my eyes, and then I set under my eyes, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and set before my talking leads to my under eyes to crease. With creams, you can always just tap it out during the day, but if you're like me and you don't wanna even have to worry about it, I tend to like my under eyes a little bit matte and brightened, and our Vanilla Dust kind of does both. It's very finely milled, so it's not like a heavier powder that's gonna suddenly age your under eyes. It's one of the few I've found that I can use under my eyes. I don't get creasing, It sets it in place, and I use very little, and that's all I need. So I love the Power Powder Brush because I can control exactly how much I use. I simply touch, and then I press it just where I need it in that triangle, okay? And I'm brightened as well. Okay, if you have deep smile lines like I do, you can also add just a touch right there and you won't get any creasing. So those are the only two places I usually worry about, and I don't powder anywhere else. For me, I feel like the dewiness of the creams, that glow you naturally get, will make you look so much more youthful, that I am all for the glow. If you like a matte look, you can go ahead and press on that anywhere you added your accent brightener, that highlight. So center of the forehead, nose, chin, pretty much where you brightened the center of your face, your T-zone is usually where people like to go ahead and powder. They keep that matte, and then they keep their, cheeks and where they contoured a little bit more dewy, and they still have that glow to their skin. Okay, so we're almost done. Pretty much just to finish up this look is lip and cheek. I feel like you can't finish your face without a little bit of blush, because we have fully color corrected and we don't have that flush to our skin anymore, that flush to your cheeks, I guess, anymore, and that makes you look more youthful as well. I feel like the biggest thing with adding blush is just placement. So again, this area is a problem area, so we want to make sure we keep it a little bit farther away from that area so it doesn't migrate too close to your nose. Again, your cheeks can kind of fall as we age, so we want to make sure we start them high up on the apple of the cheek, not here where it's going to be low and down here where we might have more issues. I'm going to show you how I kind of use more than one color. I love our mattes for their pigmentation and longevity, so I'm going to go ahead and dip into Plum. Okay, just one dip. I'm gonna smile and I'm gonna look at the outside of my apple. I wanna make sure I'm starting that color above my nose, kind of more of like in line with my eye. I don't wanna go farther over than that, okay? So I'm gonna start right there, and I'm gonna go up along that contour so that they're connected. And these creams blend so well, and they naturally, even the matte shades will give that kind of luminosity to your skin. Okay, now if you're like me and you're like, give me all the glow you can get, we also have glosses and satins that have a little bit more of a glow factor. I'm obsessed with layering them every day to really give more of a glow on my cheeks. I feel like it makes me look even younger. I'm all for it. So this is Love Spell. I'm just gonna tap in once. And can you tell the difference? That just, oh, I love that. If you don't like that dewiness to the cheeks, you can also just use a setting spray that gives a dewy finish like our Stay Spray to kind of lock it in place and give your skin overall that glow and take away any of the powder finish. If you love glow, but you need to kind of powder to set those creams in place so they're not settling in any creases, then powder anywhere you need to, finish with Stay Spray, and that will take away that powder and give you that dewy look. If you want to keep those areas matte, you can spray and then you can powder just where needed. Okay, so last but not least, I do not want to skip this step, is in mascara world what we call an illuminator. So you might hear it as a highlight. Our highlights obviously gave us coverage, but an illuminator is what will give you that glow to the skin, okay? This is what will catch the light. Now, you can tell our creams naturally have a glow to them, especially when you put on that glossy lip and cheek, but this is what will catch the light and again gives that lift to the skin. So the main part we want to add it to is the top of the cheekbones. Again, we want to keep this light and bright. That will lift our cheeks even more. I like to use the perfector, and I swipe in pretty generously. This is number 2, which is a perfume, but it also has an illuminator in it. It has our rose gold in it. So that way, as I turn, I have that touch of light, that glow. Now we also have powder illuminators, but I honestly recommend the creams for mature skin. I feel like the powders can be a bit harsh. They can emphasize the look of fine lines and wrinkles as well. So I always say keep your illuminator a little bit lower than this eye corner so it doesn't emphasize there. Okay, I'm also gonna apply a little bit above the brow. Again, that will lift. Okay, and then anywhere you want to give more of a brightening effect. So I like the inside corners, under the brow again, and the Cupid's bow. Okay, and there you go. Can't forget lips. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up with a little bit of contour, same contour I used as liner, and then I'll put the same color on my lips and we'll be good to go. Okay, we are all done. I lied, I mixed Frenchie and Love Spell on my lips for something different, so it wasn't pulled too dark. So there you go. Can you tell how much we minimized all of those shadows on our face? We lifted, we brightened. I could probably go with a little bit more lift right here. Okay, do not be scared to go back in. Oh, I forgot to show you guys the touch of brightener. I already powdered, but I'll show you real quick how you can do that just where needed. So if I was to go in here just for a touch more brightness, this is linen. I'm gonna use it very sparingly and I'm gonna go just in that inside corner for more brightness. Okay, so anywhere you feel like you need more brightness, you can easily kind of go back and be like, okay, I'm gonna just put a touch there and see how that already minimized that shadow. Sometimes you gotta like move your face around. Now with this shade, a little goes a long way. I can't stress that enough. If I was to apply this shade like I did the last one, and you got close up, like you would be able to see every pore on my skin. So little goes a long way. Just kind of barely tap in where needed. Okay. You can also just highlight and contour as normal and use this just in some of those key places that might be problem areas for you. I feel like I'm good. I don't think I need any more. But that is another option. I just recommend usually layering it over maybe a not so bright shade unless you are very fair. So if you wear darker colors like me, I was wearing mango and sandy, linen is very far from my natural shades, so that's why it pulls more textured over those shades. So I hope that helped. I hope that all made sense. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. I'm happy to help. If you need a color match for 3D foundation, my questionnaire is in the description box below the video. I'd be happy to help you out as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I love you.